They also made baskets, and they also prepared food, in particular, el casabe. So the area where they cooked was called el can. Nowadays, un can is where we go to party, una chercha, un relajo. Pero en el tiempo de los Taínos, el can, which means circular, was where they would cook. En otra palabra, el can era la cocina. So, la yucubia, which is la yuca plant. So this is what it looks like underneath the plant. And in the markets, we usually see it like this, o pelada. So they would transport the yuca en una batea. This is what it kind of looks like. And it was called una managui. So I'm using all of the Taínos words possible. So even batea, that many know that we use in DR, is a Taino word. And the batea they used was actually made of Guagua. My dad talks about how he would do this when he was little. Una hoja de Guagua se metía adentro y para abajo, just like sledding on the snow. And just so you know, a Guagua is basically a piece of palm leaf that is huge. It is very big. All of us who have cleaned off the skin of the yuca know it's very hard. They use this, una caguara, to do that. But maybe you misplaced it. So instead of that, you would use levisa, which was the skin of a fish para raspar, or to take off the skin of the yuca. So now clean, it was time to grate it, and you would use un guayo. So el guayo y el guariquitén, where the grated yuca would be placed. It was then placed in a cibucan where all the juices of the yuca would be squeezed out. So la masa de yuca, called cativia, was then pushed through a sieve, which is this right here, called ajibe. It was cooked over this clay plate called a buren. So after la masa de yuca, called cativia, was then placed on the buren, the clay plate that was placed over the fire, in order to cook it on the other side, they used a wooden spatula called a cuisa in order to flip it. Las Casas tells us that the women could produce, between 5 to 6 women could produce up to 1,700 pounds of casabe a day. This amount would feed up to 1,000 people. And el casabe became the bread of the entire island, even during the conquest. But it is to note that the yuca that the Taínos used at the time is not the yuca that we use today. The one that we use today was actually brought over from Central America and is known as sweet yuca, yuca dulce, because the ones that the Taínos used was actually very bitter and it was very, very toxic. They figured out how to take out the poison from the yuca, and with that poison, they did other things that I'll talk about later. They didn't let anything go to waste though. With this same masa, o cativia, they would make a fermented drink named huicu. So it would get them nice and out of their minds.